Okay, so good morning all. Let me start off with sharing the screen. And before starting off with today's lecture, we'll just have a quick recap of what we did in the previous class. Okay, and one issue that we faced in the previous class, we were not able to execute this since we are getting one error. So we'll rectify that and we'll try to execute this project password locker. Right. So as discussed in the previous lecture, we discussed a small project called Password Locker, which was used to store the email ID or the account, different types of account, as well as the password in the program. And it was in return giving us the password for whatever account we give as the input, right? For example, if we had, let's say, uh, email or blog or luggage as we saw in the program as account and a respective passwords stored in the program, then given the name of the account it will retrieve or just copy the password of it into the internal clipboard, and then later wherever we want we can paste it, right? So in order to accomplish that, we had written a program in three different steps. First one being just the program design and the data structure that we have to use. Then the second one was to handle with the command line argument. The reason why we handled the command line argument was because we wanted to execute this program onto the command prompt, right? And there's one more way to do it. We can do it on the Windows R also, right? Windows Run program also. So that was the reason to we made use of this command line argument. So when we make use of this command line argument, we saw that we have to import the module called system module, right? So we imported the system module and we checked for the number of arguments to be passed, and then first argument being the name of the file itself, that is pw.py. Second argument is the account name for which you want to retrieve the password, right? So once we have these both the arguments, only then it will process our further program. Otherwise, it will show error, right? Then lastly, the third step was to just make the password copied in the clipboard, the internal clipboard, right? The computer's internal clipboard, and then later wherever you want, it is pasted. So how it is done, as we have seen in the previous class, we made use of the module called PyPerClip, which is Python per clip module, right? So what it does this module PyPerClip has two functions: copy as well as paste. So it just copies the text wherever the whatever the text that we want to make it copy, and wherever we want to paste, we can paste it. So that was the just the usage of Piperclip. So just to walk you over the program, we started off with declaring the shebang. Shebang is the most important part of the program. It starts with the shebang. For more information about shebang, you can go to the appendix B of the textbook, and you can get the reason how we declare the shebang, as you can see here. Then why shebang is required, why is it important. So followed by this shebang notation, we gave the Python version, that is Python 3, right? Python language, which is important again. Followed by that was just a comment saying that this is a password locker program, which is actually insecure, not much secure, right? Then we went ahead to design the whole program. Started off with the dictionary. The reason we used the dictionary because we wanted the key value pairs, right? So the key here will be the account name, which is email, blog, and luggage in this case, and its corresponding value will be its corresponding password for those accounts, right? So whatever that password is, it will be stored here, and this complete thing will form a dictionary. Now, once we have this dictionary ready, we are supposed to import these two modules, system as well as Piperclip, and then system is required to make the program run on command line, right? Where we are doing this here, we are checking the number of arguments, and then also we are printing a message to the user that we are looking forward for such usage, that is py, which is the instruction to execute the Python program, py, followed by the name of the file that you want to execute and the argument that it takes, right, which is the account in this case. So we want something like this in this format, right? And then the password for that account will be copied. Once we check that, we exit from the system by giving the instruction sys.exit, and we simply store that account into the variable called account. Right? Now we have to check whether that account is first of all there in the dictionary or no. So we made use of in operator, right? So if account is there in the password, it will copy the account, the password for that particular account, and it will also print the message that password for that particular account is copied to the clipboard, right? Else it will throw an error that the such no such account exists in the dictionary or something, like there is no account named so and so. So this was just the overview, and the way to execute it, we have to create the batch file, right? Why batch file? Because as you can recall from the previous lecture, we used a batch file in order to make the program execute at the command line, right? Now the question is how to create batch file, right? So simply you can create a simple text document, right? In any file text editor, you can create this document with this instruction, and while saving it, you can save it as the file name .bat. BAT stands for batch, right? So that will automatically convert that normal text file into a batch file, and batch file will be required to execute at the command line. Now, one important thing here is this location might be different in uh, each and every case for you, right? So this location is basically wherever you have stored your program. For example, if you have stored your program in the C drive with the folder Python 34, and in that you have this program tw.py, then your location will be this. Otherwise, whatever that your location is, you have to mention that location here. So in my case, it is different. In your case, it might be different, right? Now, what are these other instructions, right? We have to understand these other instructions also. So this py.exe is the instruction to make the system understand that we want the Python application to execute, right? We want to execute the Python application stored at so and so location with so and so file name, right? So this is the meaning of this instruction, and this percentage asterisk means that it is ready to execute on the Windows R also, right? On the Windows R platform also. For example, how we press Windows R, right? We press Windows R like this to make some instructions run on it. For example, command prompt or any services that you want to execute. So on Windows Run, you can execute directly this program if you have this instruction, this characters here. And the reason of having this at the rate pause is, if you can recall from the previous class, the reason of having this pause is once we execute this program, uh, what system will do is it will execute and it will automatically terminate, right? So if it is automatically terminating, we will not be able to see the output, right? So in order to view that output or the result of the program, whatever it can be, it can be the successful execution or any error or anything. So in order to view that result, we have to pause the window there. So this instruction helps us to pause at that moment before terminating the whole window. So that's all about the batch file. And once we have that batch file, we can either execute using the Windows R, or you can execute on the command prompt also. So in the previous class, we had some issue with respect to the, we had some error with respect to this. So the location was the problem, and there was one more issue, that is with respect to the module, Paperclip module. So those who have tried, I don't know how many have tried. Can you just give me a count of how many of you have tried at least doing this? Faced any problem or successfully executed? Let me know quickly. Viva says, sir, in Ubuntu, how to execute it? Okay, I'll answer that. But anybody who has tried it, tried the program? Yeah, quickly. When the attendance was there, the number of participants were around 52. Now the attendance has gone to 44. So let me have a quick check of how many are there and how many are trying to play smart. I think those who are coming here for the sake of attendance, those who are coming here for the sake of only attendance, they think that after giving the attendance they can simply leave. But mind you, this whole thing is getting recorded. So whenever a participant leaves, we get a notification here that so and so participants have left. So let me have a quick glance of who are missing. Okay. Yeah. Anybody who has tried this program and got something, error or successful execution, whatever. Okay, so before executing this whole thing, I just wanted to show you that we can visit the appendix of this textbook, that is Appendix A and Appendix B both. First, let's go to Appendix B because Appendix B deals with how to execute at different platforms. Okay. So like I mentioned, what is the importance of Shebang? You can learn here why we use Shebang and how Shebang is different in Windows, in operating system, in OS 10 and Linux and all. So how to declare it? Like I said, this is how we declare in the pipe in the Windows, and this is how we declare in the OS 10, Mac OS 10, and here in the Linux we use this instruction. So this was about the shebang. You can learn about it. Now answering your question, Viva, running Python programs on Windows as well as on different platforms. So here is Appendix B. You can visit and see according to wherever you have stored your Python application, right? So that depends. You can learn here how to execute it. Right. So this is just the normal way. I mean, how you execute, how you make use of terminal or text editors and those things. Uh, you can execute a Python file in these operating systems. But there are few things, for example, few modules which doesn't come pre-installed. So you have to manually install them. So these are mentioned in the Appendix A, the third-party modules. Okay. So how do we install the third-party modules? We have this thing here. First one being the pip tool. You might have all, most of you have, at least those who have worked before with the Python, might have come across this PIP tool, also known as pip tool. So how to execute a few modules under pip? So pip usually comes pre-installed in some of the operating systems, but if it is not there, you can still go and visit these links to install the pip tool for your operating system. So as you can see, it is executable file for pip tool is called pip in Windows, pip3 in operating system 10, that is for macOS, and Linux also. So if you're using macOS and Linux, you might get this pip3, and if you have Windows, the name will be just pip, right? So if you want to find this pip, whether it is pre-installed or you have to install it manually, you can go and check these locations depending on your system, wherever you have installed the Python. Fine. So this is the link. This is the directory location which is given by the author here, but it might be different for your case in case if you have changed the installation directory. Right. To Viba to install pip3 in Ubuntu, you have the instructions here. To install pip3 on Ubuntu or even in Debian Linux, open the terminal window and enter this pseudo code. Right. There is the pseudo code here. Right. Which is sudo apt hyphen get install python 3 hyphen pip. So this will help you install the PIP, only pip tool. And after that, you can install the other modules, third-party modules, like how it is mentioned here. Like once you have pip tool ready, you can using pip tool, you can install other modules like send to trash, request, paperclip, and other and all modules. So these are few of the modules which author has used throughout the textbook, which we have to install. We may encounter it in some of the other topics, right? So please go through the Appendix A and Appendix B as well. Those who are facing problem with the installations as well as the uh, pip tool, right? Let's go back to the program. Okay, so let me show you the installation quickly so that we can start off with the next topic. I'll first open my Python ideally. And I'll open my file pw.py. Right. So as you can see here, this is our main program stored in pw.py, and whole program almost same whatever we have done. Now the thing is we have to go to the location. Now as you can see here, for me location is this, right? So I have to go to this location. Let's say I go to C drive and users, app data, local programs. This location might be different for you, so just check it out with your installation location. Yeah, so this is my main Python folder wherein my all my files are saved. Okay, so as you can see here, this is pw.py file, my main Python file, and this is my pw batch file, right? So as you can see here, it's a Windows batch file written here, right? So this is already a batch file which I have created with this text. What text? This text, but mentioning my location in this file. So once I have this ready, as you can see, this is my location. I have my batch file ready and I have my pw.py file ready in the same directory. Now what I have to do is, let's say I want to execute using command, right? So I'll go to my command prompt, right? Now first I have to go to this directory. If I execute my file here, let's say I execute python pw.py space email, right? Now this is the Python file that I have to execute with the file name pw.py, and the argument is the name of the account, that is email. Now, if I hit enter, it will give me an error because no such Python program exists in this location, right? Users and number. So if I enter, it will give me an error that no such file exists there, right? So in order to execute it, I have to go to this location. So what I'll do is I'll just simply copy this location here. So this is very important. Please keep note of this. What I'll do is I'll use the command called push D. Push D is the command which is used to go to particular directory, right? So this command prompt will automatically push you to that directory. So what I have to do is push D space the location. Now when I hit enter, as you can see, my location is now changed, and now I am in the Python folder, right? I am inside the Python folder now. Now I can go ahead and execute python pw.py and name of the account, that is email, right? Now when I hit enter, you can see a message that password for email copied to clipboard, right? So that means that our program is successfully executed, and also our password for the account email is copied, right? Now password for email copied to the clipboard. Now it exists. Our password is copied and it is currently in the internal clipboard. So let's say if I want to paste it, let's say I go to Google browser and whatever my input field is, right, wherever I have to input the password field. So I can just simply go there and paste it, right? So this was the password that we have saved for the account name email, right? So I have not copied it manually. As you can see, it was automatically copied through the program, right, inside the internal clipboard of computer. So that means we are able to successfully execute the program. Now, at this point in time, some of the people they might get an error saying that Piperclip module is missing or Piperclip module is not available, right? Or couldn't find paperclip module. So in that case, you have to go to you are supposed to install the pip tool, and you have to install the paperclip module, right? Pip tool will be already available in case of Windows. You have to just install the paperclip module. And how to install that paperclip module? I have just showed you in the appendix A and appendix B, right? So you can visit appendix A and appendix B depending on your operating system and check out the instructions to do so, right? So that is all about the program that we saw in the previous class, right? That is password locker. Now similarly, you can go ahead and do another simple program, that is adding bullets to wiki markup. So it's a more simpler program. So you can use these instructions which we have already discussed. You already have the program here. What you have to do is you have to just execute it in your environment, whatever environment that you're using, and check out how the output looks like, right? So this will be your assignment. You have to execute this program. The program code is already there available. You have to just understand and execute it, right? So like how we did for the command prompt, you can execute this on the command prompt also using the creating a batch file and then doing the same procedure how we did just now, right? So with this, we come to the end of the module 2. This ends our module 2, and we shall start off with the module 3. But before that, let me take any questions if you have from your side. Yeah. Anybody having any kind of questions so far with respect to whatever we have discussed in complete module 2? Because let's start with the module 3, at least the introduction part. Yeah, anybody, any kind of question, any query that you want to ask? Any difficulty that you're facing while executing these programs that we see here? I'm expecting an answer, please. Let me know if you have any doubt or anybody having any doubt before proceeding ahead. Okay. So, lot of no's. I hope you are understanding everything that we are discussing here. They are very, very basic things. Very basic thing that I've addressed in detail so that there will be no confusion with respect to fundamentals that we learn. Because as every subject, as in when we proceed to further modules, things will get a little advanced and complicated. So it is better to invest some time initially to understand basics so that further process becomes easier to understand. If you really have no doubts, then we should move ahead and uh, start with the module 3.